Before there was Wall Street, before there was Washington, before banks, before dollars, before markets, before algorithms, before anyone ever typed a number onto a ledger, there was something much simpler: truth. And truth required no marketing department. No politician could vote it into existence. No banker could print more of it. No billionaire could corner the market in it. No army could conquer it. No computer could rewrite it. Truth simply was. Human civilization eventually discovered something extraordinary. If two people were going to live peacefully together, they needed a way to exchange value honestly. So humanity created measures: a foot, a pound, a bushel, an ounce, a promise, a contract, a coin, a ledger, money. And beneath every legitimate measure lived one beautiful idea: the measure should tell the truth. The Bible called it honest weights and measures. Because if I sell you 10 pounds of grain, but secretly rig the scale, I haven't merely stolen grain, I've corrupted the truth governing our exchange. And once the ruler lies, everything measured by that ruler becomes questionable. Scripture repeatedly uses another remarkable word: token. Not cryptocurrency, something much older. A token was a sign, evidence, a pledge, a visible representation of something real. The rainbow was called a token of covenant. Passover carried a token. Promises carried tokens. Truth could have a token. Even deception could produce false tokens. Which leaves humanity with a question that suddenly sounds astonishingly modern. What does the token actually represent? Because a token without truth behind it is merely a symbol, a number, a promise, an abstraction. But connect the token to something truthful, something verifiable, something measurable, and suddenly it can carry value across distance and time. Every morning, billions of human beings perform a quiet miracle. They get up and create value. The mechanic repairs, the nurse heals, the farmer grows, the engineer designs, the driver delivers, the teacher teaches, the entrepreneur risks, the mother raises, the builder builds, the scientist discovers, the artist imagines. Human beings transform time, attention, energy, knowledge, and creativity into value. And money was supposed to do something wonderfully boring: measure it, store it, exchange it, move it. Money was supposed to serve the people creating value. But somewhere along humanity's journey, the measuring instrument began acquiring power of its own. Scripture never said money itself was evil. It said, the love of money is the root of all evil. And Christ delivered an even sharper warning: ye cannot serve God and mammon. Notice the word, cannot, because eventually two masters issue conflicting commands. One says, serve life. The other whispers, make life serve me. One asks, what can you create? The other asks, what can you extract? One sees money as a servant. The other makes money the master. And civilization eventually discovers the same lesson every time. When the measurement of value becomes more powerful than the creation of value, something has gone terribly backward. We've seen this movie before. Babel wasn't ultimately a story about architecture. Human beings became incredibly coordinated. One language, shared standards, shared technology, enormous productive capability. Sound familiar? The problem wasn't cooperation. The problem was worship. Let us make us a name. The creation began believing it could become its own creator. the system began believing it was sovereign, and the tower became more important than the people who built it. Our generation built perhaps the greatest financial machine civilization has ever known, and much of it accomplished extraordinary things. Global commerce exploded, capital crossed oceans, businesses scaled, millions became billions of economic participants. But we also inherited layer upon layer upon layer of intermediaries. Debt, clearing, correspondent banking, settlement delays, currency conversion, counterparties, fees, reconciliation, jurisdiction, permission, more ledgers verifying other ledgers that reconcile with still more ledgers. Humanity built an astonishing tower. But now comes the question every generation eventually must answer. Does the tower still serve humanity, or has humanity begun serving the tower? What if the next monetary revolution isn't really about cryptocurrency? What if it isn't about banks versus blockchain, Republicans versus Democrats, Wall Street versus Main Street, old versus young? What if humanity is confronting something infinitely simpler? A measurement problem. Because technology has finally given civilization tools our ancestors could scarcely imagine. Ledgers that can reconcile globally, assets that can be digitally represented, transactions that can settle almost instantly, markets that can operate continuously, rules that can be transparent, ownership that can be cryptographically demonstrated, collateral that can potentially be verified, networks that can interoperate, value capable of moving almost as easily as information. Not because technology is our salvation. It isn't. Technology cannot create morality. A blockchain cannot manufacture righteousness. Artificial intelligence cannot manufacture wisdom. And a digital token cannot make a dishonest man honest. But technology can make certain forms of dishonesty harder to hide. And that changes things. Imagine bringing one of humanity's oldest principles into humanity's newest infrastructure. Honest weights, honest measures, transparent rules, voluntary exchange, mutual consent, verifiable ownership, accountable stewardship. Not trust me, but verify it. Not wait 3 days and hope everything reconciles, but exchange, settlement, finality. Not hundreds of unnecessary toll booths between two people exchanging value, but technology relentlessly searching for the shortest, honest distance between them. For Wall Street, this isn't idealism, it's economics. Capital trapped in settlement is inefficient capital. Reconciliation consumes resources. Friction consumes productivity. Fragmentation consumes liquidity. Opacity increases risk. Reduce those frictions across a global economy, and enormous amounts of human energy can be redirected toward productive activity. Factories, research, infrastructure, medicine, housing, energy, entrepreneurship, discovery, human flourishing. The prize isn't merely cheaper payments. The prize is greater economic velocity with greater integrity. And for the American worker, forget the jargon. Here's the dream. You work, you create value, you exchange value, you save value, and the system measuring that value should be worthy of your labor. That's it. The carpenter shouldn't need a PhD in monetary policy to know whether his measuring tape contains 12 inches. And a civilization shouldn't require ordinary people to become financial engineers simply to understand whether their money is telling them the truth. This isn't ultimately a choice between paper and digital, centralized and decentralized, gold and crypto, banks and blockchains. Those are tools. The deeper choice is ancient, truth or deception, stewardship or worship, service or extraction, transparency or darkness, agency or domination, honest measurement or false balances, God or mammon. And here is where this story becomes joyful. Humanity does not need to destroy civilization to improve civilization. We don't need to hate bankers. We don't need to hate government. We don't need to hate technology. We don't need another enemy. We need a better measure. We need systems worthy of the people using them. Systems that reward creation more than extraction. Systems where transparency makes corruption expensive. Systems where prosperity doesn't require someone else's poverty. Systems where technology lowers walls instead of building bigger ones. Systems where sovereignty doesn't mean isolation, but the freedom to cooperate voluntarily. Perhaps that's the great irony of the tokenized age. Humanity thinks it invented tokens. We didn't. We reinvented the container. The ancient question remains unchanged. What does the token represent? Does it represent something real? Does the promise have backing? Does the ledger reflect reality? Does the owner truly own? Does the measure remain consistent? Can the claim be verified? Because the greatest financial innovation of the 21st century may not be tokenization. It may be something infinitely more important, making the token tell the truth. Imagine what happens then when value moves at the speed of information while truth moves with it. Imagine millions of entrepreneurs connected to billions of customers. Imagine dormant assets becoming productive. Imagine settlement measured in seconds instead of days. Imagine financial infrastructure operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week across borders, languages, currencies, and cultures. Imagine reducing enormous amounts of friction humans once accepted simply because that's how we've always done it. Human history repeatedly teaches us something wonderful. When the cost of communication collapses, humans communicate more. When the cost of transportation collapses, humans travel and trade more. When the cost of computing collapses, humans compute more. And if the cost and friction of exchanging value collapse, humanity may discover possibilities we haven't even begun to price. But never forget where value begins. Not inside a central bank, not inside Wall Street, not inside Washington, not inside a blockchain, not inside a computer. Here, a human being, thinking, working, creating, serving, loving, building, choosing. Every civilization ultimately rests upon billions of individual human decisions. I will, or I will not. Maybe humanity doesn't need another tower. Maybe we need a level playing field, a common commitment to truth, common respect, common accountability, common transparency, common agency, and measures that remain honest, whether you're managing $10 or 10 trillion. Because the farmer and the financier ultimately require the same thing, a scale they can trust. The waitress and the Wall Street CEO ultimately need the same thing, a measure that tells the truth. The American and the African, the Christian and the atheist, the billionaire and the builder, all benefit from the same fundamental principle. Honest weights, honest measures, honest exchange. Maybe the future of money isn't really about money. Maybe it's about remembering what money was supposed to do. Serve life, measure value, facilitate exchange, and then get out of humanity's way. Knowledge shows us the system. Understanding reveals how it works. Wisdom asks whether it serves life, and life reminds us who the system was built to serve. The technology is new, the principle is ancient. Make the token tell the truth, and let the measure be honest.